Welcome to our webinar, Developments with Maritime Digital Modeling in Germany. Our guest speakers today are Taz Bachu, Vice President of Global Sales at Kaiko Systems, and Jan Herberg, owner and CEO of Herberg Systems. If you have any questions about the topics today, please type them in the Q&A section and we'll get them answered for you at the end of the presentation. Here is our host, Carl Jeffrey from Digital Ship to explain more.
Okay, so welcome to our webinar on maritime digital modeling from Germany. This is the fourth of our series of 4 webinars looking at digital modeling for shipping. We looked at the general concept of making software work better for shipping processes with modeling on February the 20th. And we looked at digital modeling from companies in Scandinavia on February the 23rd and from companies in Greece on March the 7th. And today we're looking at digital modeling from companies in Germany. So the idea for the webinars came from comments made by Niels Aden of the Hamburg shipping company Harren & Partners at the Digital Ship Hamburg event last December. He was talking about how hard it is to get software which fully supports complex shipping processes. That's maybe because the software we use in shipping today often is designed around the capabilities of technology, whether that's databases or algorithms, rather than being designed around actual work processes. And people in shipping have very complex work processes. They're making difficult decisions, handling information in complex ways. And the processes themselves are complex, with one step leading to another, like you find a defect from an inspection and then you've got a work process to fix it. And they need digital tools to support all of this. So we use the term digital modeling to describe the work of carefully designing and implementing software to support complex work processes. And we're going to hear today from 2 maritime technology companies based in Germany who are doing this. So first, Herberg Systems based in Hamburg, and then Kaiko Systems based in Berlin. So Jan Herberg, owner and CEO of Herberg Systems, is going to explain how his company fills the gaps between shipping processes and software. Their customers include NSC, Harren & Partner, DS Schifffahrt, and Thomas Schulte. And he's going to show how digitalization needs to be approached as a change management project and in close collaboration with customers. Then we're going to hear from Taz Bachu, who's Vice President of Global Sales at Kaiko Systems in Berlin. He's going to show what a customer-centric development process looks like and how Kaiko Systems use this customer-centric approach to develop its tools to help shipping companies monitor asset condition or digitalize inspection management and also prepare for the SIRE 2.0 inspections. So we're going to have 2 talks of about 15 minutes, and then there should be plenty of time for questions. You can enter questions in the Q&A box at any time, but we'll take them at the end. And I'd like to invite Jan to start his talk.
Carl, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, let me share my screen first. Yes, now you should see something. Yes, I'm Jan Herberg, Managing Director, owner of Herberg Systems, Germany. I will take you through a small journey through the idea how to get actually to achieve this 100% goal. So what we hear from customers is always, look, there's software, we use a lot of different software, but it's not really matching our, it never fits into our entire business. And shipping is a complex business, and I give you a short insight how we can support, how we are supporting our customers to achieve not 100%, but getting near to it. Okay, so strategic digital solutions for your business. This is actually the title, and we have been around for some years already on shipping. We have software products for commercial operators and for shipping companies. We're located in Hamburg, and yeah, we have a lot of customers here around, of course, Germany a lot, but also around the world. So here's some of our customers, as you probably have seen some of them. And this is actually what I'm talking about. So how can you use digital tools to achieve company goals? What we normally see is that you have a problem, okay, you buy a tool, and then you hope the tool will actually fix the problem. And it's really seldom that people really think about what do we really want to achieve with these tools. So, and what we see is that you have a lot of different tools then in your company used, as we have here, as by the way, also as a software company. But they are not really cooperating to each other, and they are not integrated all together. And it's normally not, there's no really strategic idea behind it, how you're using these tools. So this is actually talking about digitization. And when you're talking about digitization, you're talking about processes. And if you talk about processes, you have to talk with and about people. So in the end, this is not only about technique, it's more about the question, how can I get my team, my company, my crew on board into this process so that I can achieve company goals with digital tools, or how can they support it? Some theory, if you're talking about IT and digitization, you're actually talking about information. And if we are handling information, using information, and sharing information is actually these three parts we are spending time. A lot of time we are switching on our PC in the morning, and we are browsing, we are working, we are sharing information. The actual effective work is the usage of the information. And the goal is to increase that part in the middle to use the information rather than just handling information like searching, copying, entering, or sharing information, email, talking, phone, chat. This is the idea behind optimization of your digital usage and the usage of information. So why to start at all? Yeah, I have some goals we have heard from our customers who actually behind it. First of all, yeah, it's not that easy anymore to get people. So how can I manage more vessels, more ships with the same team? Of course, improving quality or profit optimization, optimal utilization of the fleet, so increase the TCA, increase the efficiency, have a better positioning, so strength the unique selling point. This is, of course, depends also on what kind of vessels you have, but this is at least one positioning. Positioning is one issue, which is driving customers to have a look into this. Data-driven decisions is a very important issue right now. How can I use data to do better decisions, to make better decisions, and use data for predictions, for instance. If we're talking about digital processes or in process optimization in general, you actually have three different phases. From left to right, you start with the classic analog process development. So this means you first of all ensure that you have a transparency, that everybody knows how are the processes actually defined. You analyze them, you improve them, and step by step you get into some automation. Then you have in the middle a kind of transformative process where you actually get from the analog part into the digital part. And there, the first step is that you have a digital concept. So this is actually the borderline getting into the second area. And then we are talking about how we are handling core information internally within the company, how we are setting up data analytic capabilities. And this again is not as easy as is just written down. It's a longer process. And then the last part is then really having a digital process development, meaning I have real-time results of my processes, of my KPIs. I can predict the outcome of processes, and I have an included learning process. Honestly, most of the companies we are around here, there, some already are here and driving into this and shipping, but I don't know if anybody who's actually working here. So this is the theory, but how can you actually, how can you start with all that? Have a look on the core process. This is just an example from a commercial, I think it's a freight forwarder. I won't go through that into detail, but you normally have chartering, you have operations, you have accounting, and you have finance, planning and finance. And depending on the part of your maritime business, you might have here like calculations. Here you have then the classical operation issues like arriving, departure from port, handling cargo, etc. And the core process is actually the focus of this digital journey here. Yeah, what do you need if you want really to start with this digitization, if you want to start with improving your process toward a digital solution? First of all, you need, of course, to have some goals, what you really want to achieve. We're talking about data management, so who's involved, where is the data stored, how's the transmission done, where's the storage, achieve, delete, single point of truth. Do I have a single point of truth? We normally see different schedules of the same company for the same vessels, depending on coming from the charterers, coming from the operations, coming from board. So how to cope with that? And that's a very important part of this question, data management. Architecture, this is a technique, performance, scalability, security. And then we're talking about processes, KPIs, data, measurements, sensors, visualization. So how do I get the data? How can I measure the processes? And how can I visualize the outcomes? I have different roles in the processes. This you also have in the analog parts, of course. And then, yes, then the tools come, like reporting, processing, analytics, predictions, visualization. Now we have AI, so we also have algorithms, predictions, analytics, and controlling reporting. So who's receiving what information and why? And finally, data protection, IT security. And I guess you will admit that this is a long list. So anyway, how can you start with that? And I have here two approaches brought with me. One is what we call the actual bottleneck approach, which means, okay, I have a particular issue and I want to solve that. I take you shortly through what we normally do here. We start with a short video call where we get a clear picture of what the next step is. This is just a 1 hour call or 2 hour call. And then we get into a 1-day scoping workshop. And in this workshop, we actually identify the issue which is actually the bottleneck, which is where you want to concentrate right now. So the goal is to have 1 to 2 pages scoping analysis, which gives you nothing more than just say, okay, this is the issue we want to solve right now. Sounds silly, sounds simple, but it's a pretty fast approach. And after 1 day, you have at least a basis for decisions. Okay, let's go on for that. Next step is then to develop a prototype. Prototype means could be just some pictures, could be a kind of paper, could be also kind of tool which you can play a little around. But the goal here is just to learn and to take the team with you and say, okay, we have this particular issue, we want to solve this. Let's give it 4 to 5 days and see how we can solve that. And if we have an idea how the solution could look like, then we can go in the solution. And of course, this depends a lot on the program. So of course, if you want to have a new system for your invoicing, then we are talking here about a huge project. This is not the issue here. The idea is here to have integration issues, to have a visualization, additional visualization, to solve particular needs within the team. There's some new technologies coming up, or already they are there, which can help these kind of bottleneck approaches, which are called low-code or no-code solutions, which allows you to develop these tools without a lot of software development knowledge. And, low code means low code, so you do not need much code. No code means actually you do not need any coding. The goal here is to actually allow companies to develop their own solution for these, I call that bottleneck function. This is just an example. If you're searching for low code, no code on the web, you find a lot of solutions here. The goal here is that you as a company normally know your needs much better than actually software development companies can actually implement in their products. And this is a huge potential here, and Gartner expects that this technology will become a major player in IT in the future. Then we have a second approach we also have done with companies where we say, okay, we want to know more. We cannot just have one bottleneck issue, one particular small integration issue we want to solve. No, we want to go through our core process and really see where are our needs and where are our goals. And for this, we designed these bottom up and top down workshops. If you're looking on your company, you have three different levels. You have the technical level where you have different tools. You have your Ethernet, you have your IT, file server. Then you have the operational level where actually people work with these tools to generate value. And then you have the strategic level where you actually want to achieve business goals. And if you want to change something in IT, you always have to talk with people. It's not just buying another tool and hoping that everything will go fine. So this is the idea behind this. So what we do is we do bottom-up workshop with the entire team or with most of the team to get all the pains, all the conflicts, habits, ideas, wishes and needs from the technical to via the operation up to the strategic level. So it's a bottom-up wishes and needs workshop, and you end up with a lot of ideas what actually should be changed. And then on the other side, we take the top-down approach and say, okay, what are actually company goals? What are the opportunities we want to use? Where do we improve the value creation? So this is then more the focus on the goals, on the targets we want to achieve on strategic, on operational, and on technical levels. And from the right of that, you can end up with a plan. Yeah, again, these bottom-up workshops, they are not very informal. It's just kind of interview style or having the different experts for 2 to 3 hours around the table asking questions. Now, how do you work right now? What has been slowing you down during the last 2 weeks? What's important? Why? Etc. So these questions really help people to explain what they know and what they normally do not really do because they know it by heart. The goal here is to understand the complexity of the process. It's not about having defined everything. And this is just a picture here, 2 years old. Right now, we are only working with Miro, but you end up with a lot of ideas. Oh, can it dance on fly? Yeah, can it also do? And it should have that and that and that. So if you ask your colleagues, you will end up with a lot of requirements, and that's great because behind all these requirements, there are needs and demands. Top down, you have long-term goals. What do I want to achieve from the CIO, CTO, CEO level? When do we know that we have arrived at that goal? That's a very interesting question. And last but not least, how can we measure the process? So talking about KPIs. So then we have goals. We have a lot of requirements, ideas, features, and we are merging these results. So what are the opportunities? What would make a real difference to our companies? Again, then we are focusing on the bottlenecks. What features could really help us to speed up? Where's money earned? Where's money spent? and where's the greatest benefit generated. And last but not least, don't just have a look on your team, but have a look on all the stakeholders, which means also customers, suppliers, whoever is affected in your business in the core process. And this is actually the most important message: involve all them, take them all into this process. And that's something where we support our customers. 2 slides more about how this is actually done. I will not go too much into details here, but in the end, we have processes for developing implementations based on mock-ups. So we first have a mock-up meeting, design meeting, say, okay, that's actually have to be done. Then we doing 2 to 4 weeks so-called sprints, having feedbacks meeting, and then finally we deliver that. So it's a kind of circle. And if you're not familiar with software development, people are with agile software development, we are working in sprints, means that we have short 2 weeks software development process projects, and after 2 weeks, the delivery is provided to the system, and then the next sprint starts. So it's kind of step by step improvement, and in between, within these sprints, we plan the next features, and we can change the priorities according to the needs of our customers. So this is the short circle improvement to get step by step to a solution which helps you to get near to these 100%. Just an example how, is it worth to spend money on that? And this is, of course, just an example, just a fake idea, but if you could save per team and per vessel a day due to better information management, then it's in the month is $1,000. If you could increase the vessel utilization by 3%, then you could estimate, for instance, about 5,000 per day, so per month. So we actually got 4,500. So if you really sum it up, it get pretty fast that for a midterm company, you could do quite a good saving just improving your IT environment. Yeah, that was it from my side. I hope I'm still in time, Carl.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Jan. I think that shows a picture of the future, far more flexible and fluid way of looking at software than one we've seen so far. So now we're going to hear from Taz Bachu. So Taz, the company's in Berlin, but he's actually joining us from South London. So we're going to hear how Kaiko Systems approaches it. So I'll pass over to Taz. Cheers.
Thanks, Carl. In true kind of Zoom fashion, let me just share my screen and get everything ready to go. So, as Carl mentioned, I'm actually dialing in from my home office in London at the moment, but delighted to speak in a bit more detail about how Kaiko Systems has leveraged a customer-centric approach to drive our product and our product development since our inception. A bit about me. I'm VP Global Sales. I've been with the organization now just under 2 years and have had the privilege to work with some of the world's leading ship managers, which we'll talk about in a few more slides' time. A little bit about Kaiko Systems, actually. So Kaiko Systems was founded in 2020 with a really simple mission. We exist to digitize frontline technical operations, onboard vessels, and provide a standardized and actionable data set for the maritime industry at scale. Our team is global. Our headquarters is in Berlin. We have an office in London, and we have team members out in the Philippines, Cuba, and in Brazil. We offer, I think, a truly follow-the-sun operating schedule, which I know is absolutely invaluable for our colleagues within the shipping and maritime industry. What we're really proud of is that Kaiko Systems has built itself with seafarers at its heart, and we're incredibly proud that we've continued to develop this way over the last 3.5 years. Some of our operations team, some of our engineers, some of our developers, some of our maritime team, and even some of our commercial leads have been seafarers in the past and know firsthand some of the challenges their community face on a daily basis. And we're proud to work with some of the world's leading ship managers and boast some 800 vessels right now that are currently using and learning with Kaiko Systems as well. But why is that customer-centric approach so important to us? So I think it's safe to say that the shipping and maritime industry is probably one of the last vestiges of traditional business. And I think the last to really go through that rapid and mass journey of digitalization. And if you look at the industry over the last 4 to 5 years, you'll see the kind of inception and adoption of better ERP systems, better SMS, better PMS. And then, over the last kind of 6 to 12 months, you have buzzwords coming into the industry as well. So artificial intelligence being one of those. And I think one of the kind of the big things is that a lot of organizations, certainly within the maritime tech field, don't actually support existing processes. They rip the rug from under the organization and really want to revolutionize and drive a different kind of change or a different process of working. And what we found is that actual approach is not really looking at the day-to-day benefits technology can have. And I think Jan summarized it fantastically in his presentation, where you have those kind of 5 headings of scale, quality or profit, efficiency, positioning, and data-driven decision making. And I think, with these kind of seismic changes in regulation, in compliance, in a move to more kind of green shipping, there's a drive to more digital first experiences, existence, and an embrace of new technologies to really kind of drive that efficiency and drive that data-driven decision making as well. And this is super, super important because I think in order to be successful within this organization, in order for ship managers to really kind of lead from the front and step away from the pack, you need to actually push an evolution within your organizations rather than a revolution. And I mentioned it before, it's not a case of ripping out the rug and really kind of changing the way that you do things. It's looking for technologies that kind of complement, augment, and supplement your existing workflows and your existing processes that don't require your seafarers to learn all about new regulation, all about new compliance, and all about your new processes. The industry can't afford it. And in essence, in an increasingly volatile market with a number of kind of macro and microeconomic factors affecting the viability of our business, embracing that kind of customer centric and technology that's made with you in mind really can make those process improvements without disrupting your workflows. So you'll get the ability to scale, you get the ability to kind of optimize the quality of your output and your profits, but you'll also see, results when it comes to the measurements of efficiency, the strain on things like OpEx and CapEx. And this kind of understanding of how our customers work really led us to develop the Kaiko Systems workflow and approach. So we work with over 800 crews globally, and there are people using Kaiko Systems at any time really, in a day, in a week, in a month. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, rather than kind of run through the issues that we've uncovered from our customers on the slide, is talk about some of the external factors that also impact the development of a customer-centric software and a customer-centric approach to product development. Things like the Seafarer's Happiness Index, as well as studies by the Harvard Business Review, Deloitte, KPMG, have highlighted that employee satisfaction can also drive the overall success of your business. And by success, we're looking kind of generically or generally at kind of top line. And some of the key factors raised within the Seafarer's Happiness Index point toward having the right tooling and better working conditions in order to be more efficient and to have more time to contact their families, etc. Now, if you think about the operations on board a vessel and the technical operations on board a vessel, you really kind of have this Pandora's box of data, of insights that organizations don't really leverage. Your crews are working tirelessly 7 days a week to ensure that your vessels conform to all of those regulations as well, whether that's right ship, whether that's ISM memorandums or IMO memorandums or SOLAS requirements. The data they collect from this process is never really standardized. Every organization has a different way of visualizing that data and collecting that data to conform to those requirements. And actually, every crew has a different way of collecting that data in order to conform to the ship manager's requirements. And so actually, what happens to it? Why don't we use it? How do we use it? And how do we actually use that data to inform better decision making, but also better process and workflow management on the vessel as well? In order to do that, there are a number of different ways, and we'll go through those kind of step by step. But essentially, Kaiko Systems has presented to the industry a dynamic workflow, which kind of splits that process into 3 distinct areas. But it also leverages things like artificial intelligence to provide you with those actionable insights and to provide you with that real-time data analysis, meaning that you don't have to rely on hundreds, maybe thousands of emails and correspondence backwards and forwards to understand what the real issue is on your vessel. Again, it's a very cheesy line, but you kind of unlock Pandora's box when it comes to that data and when it comes to those insights. And it also actually allows you to move away from perhaps those antiquated data collection methods, that old world way of data collection and process management there as well. The Kaiko Systems workflow is split into kind of 3 key areas, and it was built through extensive consultation with strategic partners and key players within the shipping and maritime industry. What we want to do is we want to power that evolution, and we want to help you start streamlining those processes and onboard workflows. We also want your shore teams to operate more efficiently and have the ability to communicate with their crews, with those seafarers seamlessly and instantly as well. We want to open up those communication channels, and we also want to broaden their scope so that you have the holistic view of a fleet or a cross section of a fleet to really make decisions and kind of optimize your costs and look at how you're really applying that OpEx and CapEx spend. The first kind of element is creating that digitized workflow. And again, it's not ripping up the rule book, but it's really kind of putting in place a digital twin of the vessel, a familiar interface that's really easy to use, that is device agnostic. Most seafarers now are doing some processes using a mobile device or a tablet, and the Kaiko Systems app is really designed to be leveraged on that hardware, or it's designed to allow you to introduce that hardware onto your vessels. It provides on-the-job guidance, and it provides that streamlined data collection, and we'll get into that in a bit more detail in a moment. The next thing we want to do is we want to actually allow organizations to really review and collaborate on their data. And if you think about seafarers and some of the feedback we've kind of collated from our crews, from the seafarers we work with, is that there is so much data. There are so many data points. Where do they start? And so a cloud-based dashboard allows your seafarers to effectively have their own virtual assistant and really manage their vessels, manage the crews, look at findings in a succinct and concise way. And then the cool thing that we kind of layer on top is that verification and analysis. Now, that's powered by artificial intelligence, but again, provides actionable insights that not only provide assurance, but can also help inform the severity of certain findings and the severity of certain issues on board a vessel. Now, this kind of customer-centered and this customer-centric approach lends itself to a number of different use cases. And I think this is kind of where Kaiko Systems comes into its own. When we actually started as an organization, we very much focused on those visual condition inspections and those visual condition reports. And we kind of bucket that into visual hull and equipment reports. Now, this is anything that requires a seafarer to go around a vessel and actually collect visual data. That could be a cargo hold inspection, that could be a ballast water tank audit, that could even be kind of an inspection of tank tops or the condition of deck that would feed into a maintenance schedule. What we've also kind of built as part of this kind of use case and as part of our kind of portfolio of products are safety inspections. Now, if you put yourself in the shoes of a third officer who conducts a safety inspection every Saturday, they need to conform to ISM and SOLAS requirements. And actually, it's quite a laborious process. It's a manual process that requires a lot of checkpoints and a lot of components that need to be inspected within a very short amount of time. Again, listening to the industry, listening to these individuals, but also listening to studies like the Seafarers Happiness Index mean that we were actually able to provide a step-by-step guide on the Kaiko Systems app that really simplifies that data collection. It means that if there have been any visual hull and equipment reports, for example, checking life jackets, checking fire points, checking lifeboats, we can deduplicate the effort that the seafarer makes and make sure that data is already uploaded. But what we also do is by providing that digital twin of your vessel, you have a cabin by cabin, deck by deck guide as to the safety points that you need to go through and you need to conduct and check. What we also realize is that a number of organizations, a number of ship managers have their own processes that they need to digitize as well. So again, being able to build those custom checklists and actually create new processes on a digital platform again, just helps to streamline and create those efficiencies. Our newest product and our newest use case is SIRE 2.0 self-assessment. We'll talk about it in a bit more detail, but essentially that kind of drive towards digitization by OCIMF and the need for seafarers, shore team, and organizations to understand the new regulations at scale really mean that a digital-first approach is key here. And again, developing that over the last 18 months, we've had extensive input, not only from vetting inspectors that have worked with OCIMF and have worked with the oil majors before, but also members of the Intertanko boards and some of our customers as well, who have helped prototype and beta test the platform to make sure that it is actually seaworthy and can be used on board a vessel. And then the final use case that we kind of operate on is pre-port state control self-assessments. And I think one of the biggest challenges we saw when we were developing and creating Kaiko Systems was that detention and unplanned off-hire were two main concerns within the ship management world. And again, that pre-port state control self-assessment just negates the need for organizations to ask the what if question when they come into port, when they end a charter, or when they're taking on their new cargo. So going back to that workflow and that first kind of process within the Kaiko Systems workflow, it's providing a very simple and relevant crew experience. Now, seafarers have influenced our user interface, and by that, I mean that we've actually listened to the people using our platform, and we've been able to actually create a very easy to follow workflow on a mobile device that really allows the seafarer to give you the best possible data, the best possible sets of information, and the best possible representation of your vessel. Gone are the days where your ship and shore are operating with this execution gap. I think, working with our customers and our industry partners, we've developed this standardized data collection model that's very, very easy to follow, but also effectively gives your shore team that real-time insight into what's happening on board the vessel. This digital twin that we've created really breaks down and simplifies that data collection and tells the seafarer, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, what we want to see, where you need to stand on board the vessel to capture what we want to see, and then how to rate that element of that inspection tool or that checklist point. And if you think about the fact that your crew are on deck most of the time, they don't sit behind a laptop or a desktop PC in the crew office. They're out there doing things. Why should your comms be limited to email? And I think the beauty of the app, and you can see this on the right-hand side of the screen, is that we actually facilitate seamless ship-to-shore communication, and we allow for better and real-time finding management. The benefit of this and the knock-on effect of this is it's easier for asset management and risk optimization, but also cost optimization as well. Now, what happens to all of that data when you have it? The first thing is that data is passed to an online dashboard. And again, why should your seafarers have the best possible experience? We want your shore team to have that experience as well. And I mentioned earlier that data really here is a Pandora's box. Data is something that not many people know how to use, not many people know how to leverage. And whilst your COO and their team can actually export some of this data into Power BI and visualize it for profit, for top line, for OPEX reasons, actually there's some real actionable insights that you can use from the data your seafarers to collect that help you manage your process and help you manage your systems here. And so again, we have that kind of fleet-based vessel health snapshot, which gives you a high-level overview as to the statistics captured by the crew. But we also have that visualization as well. So again, that very visual process of collecting images and really kind of presenting your vessel in a way that's easy to understand is available and is applicable through the dashboard itself there as well. The final element of that process and that workflow is the artificial intelligence and the way to kind of leverage that live data. I'm going to start right to left on this slide and talk a little bit more about plausibility analysis. So as well as the data that your seafarers are collecting, some of the other data that you get using a mobile device are things like a time measure and a distance measure. And what we're able to do is we're able to extrapolate that data and provide you with a plausibility analysis. Why is this super important for the industry? Well, again, we're lifting that veil of mystery. We're opening up that line of communication as to what your seafarers are doing at any one time. So having a plausibility analysis, you know that that inspection tour that may be to conform to an IMO memorandum, that may be to conform to a SIA 2 chapter checklist has been conducted in the right way, in the right manner, and over the requisite amount of time. Kaiko Systems learns from the number of organizations it works with, the number of inspections it processes to provide you with this analysis, which again provides your SURE team the assurance that the inspections are doing really well. The second element that I wanted to highlight is our corrosion detection and our corrosion analysis. So again, your seafarers are collecting a high level of data. They're collecting a high level of pictorial evidence and information. And actually, their ratings are subjective. Their ratings are perhaps down to their own personal opinion. And again, the corrosion analysis tool really looks at the level of corrosion in that image and provides you with a percentage rating on that level of corrosion there as well. So again, just gives you a little bit more information as to whether or not that seafarer is conducting that inspection in the right way, but also whether or not that seafarer's opinion of the deck plating in this example is correct. And you can see here that it's not. The seafarer on the right-hand side of the screen has actually rated this image a 5. Now, when we've run the analysis, we've seen that the analysis actually conforms with the ratings provided by other seafarers in other kind of inspections and planned maintenance inspections as well. And so what we're able to do there is really kind of, educate that crew member as to why that rating should be lower, but also have that assurance and have that kind of insight into why a particular element of the vessel has been inspected in that way. We can train, we can protect against it. So again, providing that kind of end-to-end tool for seafarers based on their experience, based on their feedback, that really allows for better ship-to-shore cohesion there as well. The final thing that I wanted to talk about was SIA 2 and the pre-vetting module that we have. So again, this has been massively influenced by the industry and has been really kind of driven by the OCIMF guidance and the OCIMF regime moving from VIQ 7 to SIA 2. And this will affect 12,000 vessels globally. This change in regulation has driven for a number of organizations that drive towards digitization, and we were able to leverage our customer base, our strategic partners like Columbia Ship Management, to really kind of test and develop a prototype that they could potentially use on board their vessels to ensure that their crews were familiar and were aware of the pre-vetting requirements and the vetting requirements that have been imposed on everyone on board a vessel for SIA 2. What we've been able to do is kind of ingest the 1,500 pages of OCIMF guidance and the rules to really provide a simple to use and rank-based user interface that allows every member of your crew to really kind of deep dive into why they're doing it, what they're doing for it, and why the vetting inspector needs to know this information. We cover off things like human factors, and we found that, again, working with organizations across the world and implementing this over the last kind of 6 months for them, that they actually have that peace of mind and that assurance that there is a software that's been built with their crews in mind that enables their crews to learn on the job, but also understand the knock-on effects of this new regime and of this new kind of vetting program here as well. The final thing that I wanted to leave you with is that a customer-centric approach doesn't only kind of impact the technical management workflows. It actually provides a much bigger picture in terms of how you operate as an organization and how Kaiko Systems helps ship managers operate as well. Our kind of technical management workflows, the mobile app, the web dashboard, and the analytics work within the middle of this kind of crew training and performance and risk sandwich. What you're able to do is you're able to actually conduct a great root cause analysis, and you're able to really understand the issues uncovered by the data, uncovered by the processes your crews go through, and ensure that they are operating at an optimal level. They're operating as efficiently as they can, but also they're performing. If you have a certain crew or certain crew members that always have similar findings, always have similar observations, you can actually go back and retrain. If they're finding things that other members aren't, or other members of the crew aren't, or other crews aren't, you can actually disseminate that training across your fleet. The second element really works for kind of the shore team as well. So it provides a great overview in terms of your risk analysis and in terms of the process and the process flows when you are looking at managing your fleet and actually balancing those budgets and balancing those macro and microeconomic factors that do kind of limit the ability to do business sometimes. And then the final one, again, is just to kind of highlight some of the organizations we work with globally. This isn't an extensive list, but I think the beauty here is every organization on the screen right now has started with a different Kaiko Systems use case. And because they've worked with their crews, because they've worked with their seafarers, they've been able to actually drip feed and add more processes, more workflows into their existing ecosystem, and ultimately move more of their processes onto a more digital footing, which again allows for increased success and increased kind of operational capability as well. That's the end of my side of the presentation. Carl, I'll hand back over to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Taz. Okay, so I'd like to invite Jan to turn the camera on, and we'll go into the Q&A session. So we're open to questions if you want to put questions in the Q&A box. So it's a question I thought maybe for both of you to start off with is about the software development costs. So the paradigm in software we've had for the past 20 years has been companies spending tiny amounts of money. You know, we hear about dollars per ship per month on, and you've got the easiest software to build, this sort of planned maintenance software that puts stuff into a database. So Jan, you're talking about low code and ways that make it less expensive, and all this agile stuff means making software in 2 weeks. So I guess you need to do it faster. And then Taz, I think what you presented was what you imagine you'd make if you had an infinite budget. I've no idea how on earth you finance all of that, but maybe if we go to Jan first, I mean, how is it easier to build now compared to say 5-10 years ago? Is it?
I think I mean, first of all, we have to accept that we're talking here about a complex business. So you have maintenance, as you just mentioned. You have the operation processes, which have a lot of side effects up to bunker prices. And in the past, we used to develop particular software for particular parts of this process, and we still do. I mean, we have software right now for all the CO2 stuff, etc. But what changes now is that you can use these tools also like Kaiko to integrate different tools through the interfaces using these low-code solutions, not just buying either software or hiring someone to develop software, rather than just saying, okay, what's actually my needs, and then having someone even in your company, if you like, putting together the pieces. That sounds simple. It's of course not as simple as it should be still, but it's much easier to have solutions which are nearer to my needs. And it's still, I mean, it's not cheaper, definitely not, in terms of that I don't have to invest less into IT. I think it's the opposite. But the outcome is much higher in the future, because I can much better evaluate what is actually my problem, how much does it cost me, and how much does it cost to solve, and then I can put it into relation. I think this is changing. This is the game changer of this technology. We have invested a lot into integrations in the last half year, because companies start to understand, oh yes, it makes sense that people or different providers talk to each other, integrate data, and have a broader database which then can be used. So yeah, it's changing. It's not cheaper or more expensive. I think that the possibilities are much better now to solve, to provide really solutions rather than just just tools.
Wow, yeah, fantastic. So Taz, so you've got a couple of questions already. Well, I mean, yeah, my question is about how on earth you get the software development costs in a manageable way.
I can address that briefly for sure. So I think the difference with an organization like Kaiko Systems is that we want to build a good product for the industry off the bat. And I think if you, again, I didn't spend too much time on the history of the organization, but if you look at kind of our co-founders, they have this kind of intrinsic knowledge of how to build and how to code and how to actually develop. And for the eagle-eared amongst you, you would have noticed that I mentioned that we have teams in the Philippines, in Brazil, and in Cuba. Our engineering teams, our development teams sit in Brazil and Cuba because they understand how to actually create software that works with limited internet connectivity, that kind of, again, works for the maritime industry. Because if you are in a ballast water tank, for example, you're not going to be connected to Wi-Fi, you're not going to have that connectivity. So a lot of our development is done in-house. And I think, you know, to Jan's point, in terms of cost and kind of weighing up those options, it's an opportunity cost as well. And for a number of the kind of the early adopters of Kaiko Systems, it was a what if. What is the cost of not doing this versus the long-term costs and the savings you'll see and the savings you'll achieve of implementing a new process, implementing some new workflows, and really leveraging technology to kind of develop and drive those processes forwards. And I think, again, you know, the example we can use is with Sire 2 and the kind of the inception of that new regime. If you don't pass a vetting inspection, or if you have a large number of corrective actions or corrective observations logged on your ship's record, you're going to be less able to actually take that tier 1 oil, gas, LNG, etc. And so again, it's an opportunity cost. Do you adopt a tool, adopt a process, and then personalize it to fit your needs, working with an organization like Kaiko Systems, or do we kind of go into this new reality with our eyes closed and hope everything works out?
Yeah, well, that's fantastic if you're going to support people. Yeah, I mean, I just always hear about how tight shipping companies are with software. So that's seems like you've got to. Well, should we go to this? So Jan Soller from Fraunhofer, he's asking, I get you can see corrosion on the deck, but how about can you see corrosion on winches and flaps? And Alexandre Ferrari, who's joining us from Brazil, says, can you do it in Portuguese? Want to take those, Taz?
Yeah, of course. So Jan, yes, we can see corrosion on winches and flaps. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it, but I can send through some examples to Carl and the team, and we can get some examples out to you to do that. But again, for the purposes of the presentation, it was much easier to show you kind of deck plating and tank tops rather than getting into the nuts and bolts literally of equipment. And then at the moment, there isn't kind of localization, so the application is available in English. We work with crews from all over the world, and there hasn't been too many issues in terms of language barriers and the inability to understand. But again, if this is something that would be of interest, it's something that we can look at and we can talk about. Localization is a topic that we're exploring at the moment.
Wow. So Jan, do you want to your thoughts on the software budget? Obviously, it's a sensitive topic, and not to mention any customers specifically, but is there a willingness to spend more money you see among your customers or in the industry, or is it on software? Or?
Yeah, I think you see both. Some are very conservative, and some are really saying no. We are really investing a significant amount of money. I just wanted to add another point here for localization, and you know, we are still thinking about, oh yes, we have to implement another language. If you're looking on the web browsers today, you can just switch your language, and it's just translating online. So what I'm talking here is we see, thanks to the new possibilities to integrate the vessels in the internet, that a lot of tools and a lot of barriers are just or a lot of tools available and barriers are going away. Like, well, I don't have to implement it anyway. I can just use AI to translate, for instance, on the fly if I have an internet connection. And the same applies for all these applications which have to be offline because the vessel are not always online. But we see a change here as well, that thanks to the better connectivity, process can be streamlined in a totally different way. And the ship-shore communication, I think there's a huge opportunity to actually save money. If you think about all these emails they're sending back and forth, still also our customers do, but there are a lot of possibilities to save time and to improve the processes. And then what Tas just told us and showed us, having the same pictures on both sides helps a lot in saving yeah, to get a better understanding of both sides. So to answer your question, it's not that they're running into our house here and say, here's your money, please do. I think it's a lot, it's changing at step by step. Companies understand that it's not just, oh yes, I have to spend another tool for fulfilling the requirement, rather than I have an investment which have a return of investment in a certain time. And this is actually a change. And yeah.
Wow. So Taz, we've just got a few minutes left, but just the same question I asked Jan about the flexibility. So you said before we started that the crews were able to suggest changes, and they were actually happening straight away. I don't know if you.
Yeah. So absolutely. So in terms of flexibility, we appreciate that every organization has a different way of doing things, and there are different ways that you can kind of collect and visualize your data as well. So when we go through that kind of implementation process, when we set up with a client organization, we want to understand their processes as much as possible. And whilst Kaiko Systems is an out-of-the-box solution, there is an out-of-the-box functionality, we want to ensure that we replicate those data processes and we replicate those workflows, so that, again, I used the analogy before, you're not ripping the rug out. Your owners are still seeing the same format of reports. Your owners are still seeing the same type of data, but just at a better quality, with more analysis, with more information there. And I think that's kind of how we can offer that personalization. And again, with things like the Sire 2 regime, we know that human factors is a big thing in the industry. It's a big worry right now. And actually, we're working with some of our client organizations to implement some of their own kind of human factors education and their own human factors checklists, just because they want to make sure that their crews are as ready as they can be for that first kind of proper SIRE vetting inspection that will happen, within the next three or 4 months.
Oh, so we've got a question here from my friend Pantelis, who talked at our Greece event. Maybe this is for Jan, about integrating with other software systems. It must be something you do an awful lot. I'm not sure you mentioned it very much, but is there a 2-minute answer you could say about your approach to integrating?
Yeah, well, it really depends on technology which is there. So normally we just take what is there. So I won't go into the technical details here, but we try to stay as possible. Yeah, there are no standards. That's the problem. So that's again means we have to do whatever we can do to integrate different partners. So it's not an easy answer. Yeah, but it's REST, SOAP, whatever you have.
Yeah, Taz, I know you're on the sales side, not the software development side, but I don't know if you get
I mean,
involved in this.
if I get too technical, I'll get my wrist slapped. But the simple answer is yes. We have an open API, but it depends on the ability of the software or the technology that you'd like us to integrate with. I think Kaiko Systems, again, we want to be part of the ecosystem. We don't want to be the standalone product, so it will be a case of connecting IT teams and working through it. But our engineering teams normally lead this, and they are geniuses. So yeah, they'll be able to work something out, I'm sure.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I think we're coming to the end. Just another observation from me, but another comment we had from Niels Aiden at our Hamburg event was there's this enormous bandwidth coming for shipping. And he was saying, I'm sure there's a business case for it. And I think we've seen a lot of the business case here. This is stuff you really need a lot of bandwidth to do, or if you've got more bandwidth, you can do it. But yeah, I think that's the end of the webinar. So thank you very much, Taz and Jan. So we're not sure where we're going with this digital modeling subject. I think we've seen there's enormous interest or enormous fascinating subject, but how we can take it forward, I don't know. I tried to set up a sort of digital modeling group on our website. You can join if you're interested, and we'll see where we go with it. But thank you very much, and I shall pass back to Farah for the closing words. Cheers.
Thank you to our guest speakers, Taz Bachu and Jan Herberg, and to all our viewers. We'll be sending you a YouTube video link soon with their contact details if you have any further questions. Join us for our next webinar this Thursday on the 28th of March with Nomon, which you can book online at our website. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.